Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Marriage, where for better or for worse, takes on a whole new meaning. Today in the rLounge, the fine print of happily ever after leads to some unexpected plot twists. Up first, the only thing mountain high in this family drama is the altitude of their expectations. Would I be the a-hole for canceling my brother's wedding? I, female 31, have a brother, male 28, who is hoping to get married to his fiancée, female 25. They have been in a relationship for a long time, have kids and a house together, so she isn't someone who's new to the family. We're all European, but I own a gorgeous house in Colorado. It is in the middle of the mountains, surrounded by forests, has huge windows looking out on my acres surrounding. It truly is stunning and a dream come true. A couple of months ago, my brother came to me and asked me if they could use my house for a destination wedding. While I was hesitant to host a god-dang wedding in the house of my dreams, I can absolutely understand how my dream home is her dream venue. I told him they absolutely could, but had some rules, despite me not living there. No more than 25 guests. It truly is in the middle of nowhere, so guests would have to sleep at the house and I simply do not have room for more. Nothing that permanently alters anything in or around the house. No smoking indoors. Any damage done by them or their guests would have to be paid for. Since I'm quite protective of the house, I offered to decorate and find a caterer, and that'd be my gift to them. So, I'm providing them with the venue, food, and decorations. I'm currently almost $10,000 into my gift because it's my brother's wedding and it's what I wanted to do. Now, crap has hit the fan. His fiancée decided she needed at least 45 guests. Well, I was willing to be flexible by 1 or 2, but 20? Nah. I asked her if she wanted to stack them, and she got salty. On top of that, she wants me to pay to fly her family in, because I fronted the money to my other brother. He is paying me back, because he couldn't afford a ticket. I told her no, and again I got sassed. On top of that, she wants me to build the pergola, which I actually considered, paint my living room, cover up the beautiful wood, so F no, and also pay for the drinks. I said no, I've done enough. She has now taken it upon herself to tell people I'm coming back on my promises, that I left her hanging, that she can't afford the super expensive wedding I made her plan, and even went as far as to uninvite my grandparents, just to spite me. Her words were, "You wanted me to cut back on guests, so I'm picking your family." I'm getting at least 2 messages a day asking me why I'm ruining her day, if I'm jealous. Today, she called me to tell me that if I keep going out of my way to make her miserable, I and my rescues, 2 of my children are adopted, would not be invited either. While I find it absurd that she thinks she can uninvite me from my own house, the fact that she referred to my kids as rescues has me absolutely fuming. I'm considering canceling the whole thing, but it would be royally effing over my brother in the process, who has done nothing wrong. So is her crap show overshadowing my need to protect my brother from a giant financial hole? I don't know. Edit to add, I do not live in Colorado. We all live in our home country in Europe. Edit 2, my brother's age had a typo. Would I be the a-hole? Here are some relevant comments and additional information. The OP when questioned on the second house repeatedly. I purchased this house after it had been on the market for close to 2 years. It was in complete disrepair and I spent a little over a year of my life restoring, not renovating it, to its original, glorious state. I have spent a lot of money, love, and time on this house, and had anyone wanted it, it would have been purchased somewhere in the 2 years it was on the market. By that logic, should I no longer buy that last block of cheese at the supermarket because someone else might want it? Not park anywhere because someone else could want to park there? I might move into this home. I might not. Also, happy to see you're getting your cardio and jumping into conclusions. The house is currently being used by a friend who needs to get back on his feet, and has been for the past 8 months. I work hard for what I have, and if I want to spend it having the home of my dreams just in case I someday want to live there, that's my choice. Someone from the audience says, Info, does your brother know that she is behaving this way? Have you spoken to him about this behavior? The OP replies, I have. Almost everything goes through text message, so I screen grab the outrageous nonsense. He claims the pressure of planning a wedding has gotten to her and that I should try and be patient. The OP responds to a long comment on canceling the venue and how large is OP's house and if it could accommodate 25 guests or not. The OP replies, How big is the house that you can accommodate up to 25 guests overnight? It is decently big. The sleeping arrangements wouldn't be luxurious though. Think a combination of sleeping on couches, blow-up mattresses, and sharing beds. Not ideal, but it would have worked for 1 or 2 nights. So you graciously offer up your dream house in the mountains for your brother's wedding, and suddenly it's like you've opened the floodgates to Bridezilla Central. First, your sister-in-law-to-be wants to turn your serene sanctuary into a mini convention center, complete with a guest list that rivals the Oscars. Then, she has the audacity to demand you foot the bill for her family's travel expenses and make outrageous changes to your home, all while throwing tantrums like a toddler denied candy. And let's not even get started on her charming comments about your adopted children. Classy. You have every right to cancel, OP. Frankly, I'd say it's tempting, but sparing your brother from a financial fiasco might just be the noble thing to do. But it's wild how your brother is actually letting his future wife get away with such behavior. Update. Hey all, as an update was requested a decent amount of times, here I am letting you know how it all went. First, I do want to address one thing. To those claiming I am an a-hole because I am contributing to the housing crisis by owning a house I don't live in, I am not. This is a house so deep in the mountains I need to drive 50 minutes to go do groceries. The internet is so crappy I'm waiting for even Starlink to start covering the area, and when it snows, you sure as crap aren't going anywhere. This is not a house built for living in full time. On top of that, it was on the market for close to 2 years in complete disrepair. I did not steal some family's home. No one wanted it. The fact that it is a dream home is because I spent a year of my life restoring the whole thing myself. Now on to the update. I heard they were visiting my parents and I drove down as well, mostly because I wanted people present to witness the conversation. I told her and my brother that since my home did not suit her needs and it was stressing her out to the point that she was calling my children names, I no longer felt I was giving them the appropriate gift by supplying a venue, caterer, and decorations. I said that I felt like in my efforts to protect my home, I was limiting their options too much, standing in the way of their dream wedding, and as a result would no longer be hosting. My brother seemed relieved, admitted to not quite wanting a destination wedding, and that things got a little out of hand during the planning phase, thanked me for my willingness to help and offered to pay me back for the deposits I'm losing, which I appreciated but declined. His significant other, however, accused me of being petty and jealous because I am single and no one wants me, and going out of my way to cause her stress and ruin her day. She then pointed at my 2 youngest children and said, "You're doing more for strangers than you are for your own family." The kids are luckily young enough so they didn't catch on to this, but my older 2 did and were absolutely shocked. So were my parents. I told her she had all of 3 seconds to get out of my line of sight before I would start bringing hellfire down on her while instructing my children to leave the room. My father stepped in and said it would indeed be better for her to leave and told my brother that he was sorry, but that this is unacceptable. My brother agreed, took his family home, and had since called me to apologize and to say that the wedding planning has been put on hold until she comes to her senses. So thanks for the input and help all. I'm happy it didn't end up all too dramatic. Bravo for standing your ground and not letting your dream home turn into a nightmare venue. Who knew that offering a helping hand would lead to accusations of pettiness and envy? Nothing quite like being accused of single-handedly causing a housing crisis while generously offering up your secluded mountain paradise for a wedding. Kudos to you for attempting to play the gracious host, only to be met with a barrage of unreasonable demands and insults masquerading as concerns. Hopefully your brother takes some time to realize what he's really getting himself into. What would you have done? Up next, OP's marriage hits a fork in the road. My wife refuses to accept our divorce, and I think she's trying to trick me. An update has been added below the original post. Using a throwaway because I just need advice. My wife, 29 female, and I, 34 male, have been married for 4 years, and up until a year and a half ago, things were fantastic. Our marriage began to deteriorate after there was a significant drop in sex between us. Not intimacy, just the actual sex part of the relationship. We would still cuddle and have deep, intimate moments talking and just being around each other, but she kept rejecting my attempts at taking things further past kissing. Now, we have had no problems communicating, so I made sure to address it early, and we talked and made adjustments. We both made sure to stay in shape. We tried being more adventurous. We went to couples therapy and counseling, and even tested both of our hormone levels. Everything was normal. Each solution would work for a little while, and then we'd be back to having sex maybe once a month. I asked her several times if she was no longer attracted to me, to which she denied every time. I asked her if I was falling short in the relationship in any other way, to which she said no. Well, about a month ago, she gets back from her therapy session and tells me that she believes that she's asexual, and that's the reason for her libido being non-existent as of late. I was definitely confused because we had such great sex for a while in the beginning of our relationship, but her telling me that she's now asexual was heartbreaking because everything else is great. Obviously, I'm not going to force her to have sex, so we had a long conversation about our relationship and I came to the conclusion that we should get a divorce. I say I because she immediately rejected the idea and said we would figure something out and wouldn't talk to me about it anymore. I didn't know what to say, so I dropped it. Well, 3 weeks go by without sex, and I decided that I have to do this for my own mental well-being, so I filed for divorce and had her served with the papers. Last week when I got home from work, she was going about the day like nothing was wrong. I asked her if she signed the papers, and she flat out said, "We are not getting a divorce," and changed the subject and acted like things were normal. Obviously, I thought this was crazy, so I stopped her and said I couldn't be in a marriage devoid of sex. And I mentioned that I was being incredibly fair with our divorce. She can keep the house that we bought and paid for with cash. She paid 1/3, I paid 2/3. I'd take all of the debt, which isn't much. We'd split our savings and investments in half, and she can keep 2 of our 3 paid-off cars. I only wanted to keep my sports car. Thankfully, we don't have kids. I love her and wanted her to be comfortable, and I have no problem starting over since I make good income, but she won't budge or talk about the divorce. This brings us to 2 days ago. I get home and go to our bedroom and find my wife's friend, 27 female, in our bed, naked. I immediately shut the door, said sorry, and went looking for my wife. I found her in the kitchen and asked her what her friend was doing here, and she said that she was here for me. I put 2 and 2 together and said that I'm not having sex with other women in place of the woman I chose to marry. She was adamant on saying that I could sleep with her whenever I wanted, and that her friend agreed to it. I couldn't believe things would get this far, so I went back to our bedroom and asked her friend to leave. I packed a bag, and I've been staying in a hotel nearby since that night. My wife, her mother, and her sister keep calling me, but I'm just not interested in hearing what they have to say. This feels like a trick. I just want this whole thing to be over. Does anyone have advice? Is this some kind of ploy for alimony? We do have a prenup. Should I just contact my lawyer and try and force the divorce? I'm really uncomfortable with this entire situation. Edit. We talked last night. I'll update when I get home from work. While marriage vows often include phrases like "for better or for worse," they rarely come with footnotes specifying the terms and conditions for a sexless union. It's unfair for your wife to expect you to remain tethered to a marriage that no longer meets your needs, especially when you've taken the mature step of initiating divorce proceedings. This isn't a game of emotional tug-of-war where one party gets to dictate the rules while the other is left floundering in uncertainty. You deserve clarity and closure, not a cold shoulder and a revolving door of excuses. It's time to assert your autonomy and prioritize your own well-being. If your wife refuses to engage in productive dialogue about the future of your relationship, then it may be time to seek legal counsel and pursue the divorce proceedings you initiated. After all, life's too short to spend it trapped in a marriage that feels more like a prison sentence than a partnership. Edit 2. Here's the update if anyone is interested. I'll try to keep this as concise as possible. I feel overwhelmed, so I probably won't bother with another update after this one. I don't know. My wife came to my hotel last night, and we talked about everything. She told me the full truth and what's going on in her mind. A few of you commented this in the last post, so you were right. She has always been asexual. She and her whole family has known this since she was 16. Apparently, this is the reason why her last long-term relationship of 3 years ended. He broke up with her after the sex between them diminished to being non-existent after the first year. She told me that sex is easier for her in the beginning when emotions are running high, but she still needs to force herself to have it. I knew they broke up due to irresolvable differences, but I didn't ask for details, nor did she tell me. After a lot of apologies and crying, she told me that I was the first person she was able to tolerate sex with for so long, and that she did enjoy it a handful of times. But after a while, she still felt like she was being raped. I broke down after hearing this and started kicking myself for not catching on to any of this. She said she tried her best to please me as much as she could. She still doesn't want a divorce, and she doesn't want the house, cars, or the savings. She just wants me, and is ready to do whatever it takes to keep me. She even said that she would sign a post-nup stating this. As for her friend, she was there during her last breakup and helped to support her through it. My wife went to her after I brought up the divorce and talked things out. Her friend suggested that she open the relationship for me, but she said she didn't want me sleeping with strange women, so her friend volunteered herself to be the one that sleeps with me. My wife thought this was a great idea, which led to the fiasco at our house. I won't comment on her appearance because it doesn't matter, and I don't blame the friend. My lawyer got back to me. You all were right. I don't need her permission, but I will have to wait if I want to push it through. I asked her why she lied to me this entire time, and she said she was tired of being rejected after revealing she was asexual, so she convinced herself that she would be able to force herself to have sex during the relationship. The hormone testing, the sessions in couples therapy, and all of our solutions were just her buying time to find another way around sex and give herself enough time to build up the strength to start regularly having sex with me again. Our conversation ended with us holding each other in bed crying for a couple of hours. No, we didn't have sex. She pleaded with me to hold off on the divorce to look for a solution together and left my hotel room. I'm now sitting alone typing this effing post. I guess I found out we don't share everything with each other. Thank you to everyone who has messaged me directly. I'm still trying to get to all of them. I don't know what I'm going to do. Discovering such fundamental truths about your partner can be a lot to process, especially when it challenges your understanding of the relationship. It's heartbreaking to learn that your wife has been grappling with her identity and struggling with intimacy for so long. It's evident that both of you are in pain, and the fact that she's willing to be so transparent and vulnerable speaks volumes about her commitment to you. However, it's also crucial for you to prioritize your own well-being and evaluate what you need in a relationship. Navigating the situation won't be easy, and there are no easy answers. Take the time you need to reflect on your own feelings and consider seeking guidance from a therapist or counselor who can help you sort through your emotions and make informed decisions about your future. Do you have any advice for OP? Let him know in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click that notification bell before you leave. We'd love to hear your thoughts on today's topic, so feel free to leave a comment. See you next time in the rLounge.